Hey guys, VaulSC here. Hope that you're having a good week. Well, I'd like to announce that we are going to move forward with Season 2 of the infiNity Tabletop Simulator League. I know that a lot of you guys have been holding out for it. I know that we had a good time in Season 1 of the league. It lasted just over 5 weeks. It was a resounding success. We had lots of people participating. And let's do it again. We're just going to have another league. There are some things that are going to be different, some changes, but a lot of stuff will stay the same, and a lot of the really good things about the league we can look forward to repeating. Hopefully we can welcome a whole lot of new players and also some veterans, some old timers from the first season back into the competition. Without further ado, I just want to draw everybody's attention to the links in the video description, which basically will be all you really need. You don't even need to watch the rest of this video if you don't want to listen to me talk. But of course I will be continuing to talk as I always do. So link number 1 will take you to this Word document on Google Drive entitled infiNity TTS League Season 2. You need to have a thorough read of this document and make sure that you understand everything and ask any questions in Discord if you have any complaints or problems about the format and the ideas here before you sign up. But after you're happy with everything and you want to participate, you will click on the link down in the How Do I Enter section, which will take you to this screen. And of course the other way you can get to this screen is to just click on the link in the video description. You then fill out the form with the details here, and you click on submit and then wait. Today I'm recording it on the 13th of May. The league is going to start next week, Friday the 22nd. So when the 22nd of May comes around, I will post a video announcing the matchups and the pairings. I'll be telling you who else is participating and who you have to play against. You'll then go into Discord, locate that person, and send them a direct message scheduling your game, regardless of what part of the league you're in. On that announcement video next Friday on the 22nd, I'll also link you the Steam workshop where you can get hold of the official tournament map for round 1. We're just going to do it the same way we did it last league with the maps. I'll create it, announce it for that week, and for the rest of the week you guys will be playing your games on that map, and it will just change every week. So pretty straightforward, pretty similar to what we were doing before. So that's all you really need to know. There's the instructions right here, the players pack, so to speak, the rules, the format. Have a good read. Then get yourself over to the form and fill out the form and submit it, and then just wait. There is no game results form up yet because you're not playing any games yet, so that form will be added on the 22nd when the league starts, so you can immediately start playing your game and start filling out the form to submit game results. There is also no spreadsheet of participating players yet because nobody signed up because I haven't announced it yet. But over the coming week, I will make that spreadsheet available so you can start to see who else is participating and what factions people are playing and what countries they're from. But do start signing up as soon as we can so that we can get this rolling and help promote it. Alright, so that's basically it. Season 2 is underway. Now I will take a bit of time to just talk through the finer details, just so you can get my commentary on it. Alright? So, League Season 1 obviously was great. Our buddy Jason Killer Whales won that one. And the thing about the first league is that there was a scheduled division, sort of a tournament format. Then there were a few other people who played sort of casual games, but everybody's results got pulled into this one larger leaderboard. One major difference this time around is that there's going to be 3 distinct and separate and mutually exclusive divisions. So there'll be the Tournament League, the Casual League, and the Code 1 players. And these players won't play any official games against each other between the leagues. Obviously, it goes without saying that you can play TTS with whoever you want, whenever you want, but only the games that happen within those league divisions will be counted on the spreadsheet for scoring, right? So, don't forget, obviously my YouTube channel is going to be the main source of announcements, so make sure that you are subscribed and all of that fun stuff. The Discord channel is absolutely essential because that's where you'll be communicating with your opponent and asking questions and communicating with me and generally being in the whole social atmosphere of the competition. So you're going to need to be on Discord. You're going to need to subscribe, well, not so much subscribe, but to join using this link. And you'll need to have a Discord name which we can all recognize and remember. Don't change that name, please, during the league. Otherwise, you'll make it confusing for opponents trying to find you. So if you've got friends who want to be involved, get them into the Discord first. Last season, I had one guy who said that his friend was going to sign up and filled in the submission form to join, but then we couldn't even find that person in Discord because they never joined. So don't be like that person. You won't get to participate in the league if that happens. Some people are very good infiNity players, but they have no idea how to use TTS. It's extremely easy. There's a tutorial video up already by me from last league, which you can watch. I promise you that if you just load the game up and spend, 30, 40 minutes just playing around with it and checking things and playing along with the tutorial, by the end of that, you'll be up to speed, you'll be familiar with what to do, and all of your skills will be applicable, because if you know how to play it in infiNity in real life, you'll know exactly how to do it in TTS as well. It's just a set of tools. There's obviously Azrael and WhyRockNoDie working really hard on the base infiNity mod, so once you've got that from Steam, that's constantly being updated, and they're always full of tips and ideas, and obviously Azrael's bonus video really can be viewed there. Also, you can even view the videos themselves inside this little box inside the actual mod where you can load up the YouTube video. So there's the sign up form, that's over here. Before we just talk about the distinct questions on that, let's just explain the league divisions, because this is really important, and I really don't want anybody signing up for the league before they have read and understood what this means. Okay? So the tournament division is there for the majority of the league. Most people ought to be in this division. This is the ITS tournament of the league, so to speak. It's not officially like the Corvus Belli affiliated, ELO ranked kind of thing, but it will be formatted in the same way in terms of the competition, in the sense that you'll play 5 rounds, you'll earn tournament points and objective points and army points, and the winner will be the person who has the most tournament points. If there are 2 people with the same amount of tournament points, it'll be the most objective points, and then the next tiebreaker is the army points, and it'll just work its way down, and you'll have this indexed ranking at the end of it, right? So to be part of that and to play in that, you need to be in the tournament league. We crown a champion at the end of the league. Last time it was Killer Whales. Maybe it'll be somebody different next time. That person appears in Discord with there's gold, yellow lettering, and we mark them out as a celebrated individual. If you want to become that person and win that title, you must be in the tournament league. Tournament players will play 1 game per week for 5 weeks, and they will do their utmost to make themselves available for an opponent, no matter where that opponent's from each week. Some people are going to struggle with that, and it's okay if you struggle a little bit with that, and there's some limitations in terms of when you can be available, but so long as you're willing to try your best and be as flexible as you can, you should be in the tournament league. For people who can't follow through with that, and we did have a few people last time around, but only a few people, if you strongly suspect that you aren't going to be able to devote to a range of games and make yourself available with a little bit of flexibility, then you need to be in the secondary division of the league. So that's for casuals, but for everybody else who can get through a game per week, that you should be in the tournament. I mean, if we go over to the actual spreadsheet from last time, we had all of these people who managed to do that. There was something like 45 people who made it through and played a game per week without really any trouble at all. So it's actually not that hard to accomplish. So don't underestimate yourselves. If you even have a whole weekend free every week, that's going to be enough, because the other player's going to be able to work around you as far as that goes. Next up, there's a casual division. This is for the same group of people here in terms of the scoring and the matching and everything, but this division is specifically for people who know that they're going to give their opponent a lot of trouble if they try and commit. So if you're working on weekdays and you've got a family and other stuff to get done, a lot of other homework and projects and other games and whatnot, and you doubt that you can commit to a game a week with any sort of guarantee, then drop down to the casual version of the league. This division will still, put you somewhere. It will still rank you somewhere. You still choose a faction. You still have to play a game per week if you can. And all of the normal rules will apply to you. The only difference is that if you get given an opponent and you talk to that opponent, and after you both chat over the period of the week, and it's just clear that you're not going to be able to get the game happening, that doesn't matter. You can play the game the following week, or you can ask me to switch you with another opponent. That's perfectly fine in this version of the league. What that's going to mean is that after 5 weeks, some people may have played 5 games, or maybe even more than 5 if they get through their games quickly. Some people will play 1 game over 5 weeks, or only a couple of games, and that's okay. Even though we'll give you a ranking and a score, it just won't really matter very much. But you'll still get to participate, you'll still get to find new opponents and meet people and play games against people from other metas in other parts of the world, and that's what it's all about. I personally will be in this category of the league, not because I have trouble with timing and flexibility, but because I'm the tournament organizer, I'm the admin, and I don't want to get in the way of the competition here. People in the tournament are competing with one another. I can't compete with them because I'm the one calling the shots, choosing the missions, determining the rules, and designing the maps. So I'm not going to be competing in tournament, but I will be competing in casual in the sense that I'll be trying to beat you. It's just that it won't matter whether I beat you or not because it's the casual league. Cool. You'll still have to choose one faction and commit to that for the time during the casual games. And don't forget as well that with Tabletop Simulator, if you get half an hour into your game and somebody has to go, you can just save the game and load everything back up and continue it later. So some people do that. You might just want to sort of pause the game after deployment, save the game, and then just arrange for the game to be resumed later once you both meet back. Hopefully that makes sense. So if you've chosen casual, great. Thirdly, we've got a new division this time, and that's for Code 1. If you guys haven't watched my video describing what Code 1 is all about, please watch that. This league division is only for new players, people who don't really know how to play very well. This option here is not for people who are experienced and just happen to want a duller, more streamlined, more laid-back beer and pretzels version of the game that they already play because they're keen to try it out and because you're keen to see what, the rules are going to be like in N4 and you want a bit of a glimpse of that. We don't want you playing in this league because this league's meant to be for novice players playing against each other. We don't want somebody sort of coming in trying to sort of beat up noobs and smash people. That is not allowed. And if I realize that that's going on, then I won't hesitate to come in and get rid of people who are you're trying to sort of have that experience. You should be in the tournament league if that's you. However, if you haven't played infiNity before and you're new and you've barely had any games or maybe no games at all and you like the idea that Code 1 is a simpler, more of a demo version of infiNity with fewer rules, and if you like the idea of being up against a player who's also learning and is not likely to sort of pull tricks out of the bag to try and beat you effortlessly, then great. This signing up to this league will allow me to pair you up with people who are like you. There will be a question in the sign-up form, and the question will be aimed at the veteran players, and the question will say something like, hey, do you want to put your name down on a list of helpers, basically, where the Code 1 participants can sort of look up who's online on that list and ask you if you're free to join their game and help them learn the rules. So you'll just be sitting there in Discord voice chat and in the TTS game server with them, and you'll be talking them through it. You won't be telling them what to do and backseat gaming them. You will be there to clarify the rules and answer questions. So if they say, oh, I read the rule, but does it work this way? You can just say yes or no, and you can give them words of encouragement. Okay, so that's all that's really about. So this is experimental, it's new, we'll see how it goes. I don't know if we'll get lots of sign-ups or few. I'm hoping that most people sign up for tournament, but again, if we got like 30 people in tournament and like 15 in casual and 50 in Code 1, that would be a bit weird. I am kind of expecting about 80% of people to be in tournament, 10% casual, and maybe 10% Code 1, but I've honestly got no idea. Alright, so I did do a bit of a write-up here to explain what happens if you're in the tournament league and your opponent doesn't show at all. There was a little bit of that happening last league. The way that I really wanted it to happen was basically for me to actually sub in somebody else who would be able to count as your opponent just for that one round. So, and when I surveyed everybody from the previous league, most people said that they were okay with that way of doing it. So if you're having trouble getting your game to happen, please DM me on Discord straight away. I will try and get somebody from the casual league to play against you, or somebody who I know personally outside of Discord that I can bring in and get them to play you, or you can play against me. I don't really want to have to give you a bye or some sort of average score. That's really the last resort. I will do it if there's no better option. But if you sign up to the tournament league and your opponent doesn't show up, I want you to be willing to play against anybody, okay? And that may sound unfair, it might not sound like something good, and maybe people can game that. I don't care. I want you to try and play an actual game where you have to roll dice and sort of subject yourself to the variance of a game of infiNity and play the map, play the mission, even if it wasn't against somebody who has a similar record as you during the league, okay? So that's where we're going with that. The missions will all be custom missions, as I have mentioned before. We surveyed people. People are generally willing to play my missions. So we will be using this league season as a test. There will be no ITS missions. There will be all custom missions. Round 1, and the first round will be Oblique Assault, probably the easiest and most straightforward of them. Then we'll be going to field testing, possibly the more controversial and weirder of the missions because it's based on random mission cards. Recovery, based on Capture Protect. Finish Line, one of my classic mix and match scenarios, which I think is one of the better ones, to be honest. And then Tempo War, which you might not recognize because I've changed the name. It used to be called Tactical Window. It's now called Tempo War. And I've actually modified it a little bit so that the consoles are worth less and the sections, the quadrants, are worth more, but only at a certain specific point in the game, like towards the mid-rounds. Now, I do encourage you to open the Google Drive and check out the missions. I've basically brought them all into one document. I've shown you some patch notes. I will be tweaking them a little bit more between now and the first round, so do look out for that. I think that I'm going to be just updating the actual map images, and also there's currently a problem with the recovery mission where I've said in the mission that the consoles are 8 inches from the table edge in one part of the mission, and then 12 inches from it in another part. It's meant to be 8 inches from the edges, like it is in Hunting Party. So I will correct that before the tournament starts. But I've done some updating, I've done some tweaking and polishing. People have been playing the missions and testing them. People have been saying, okay, this could be tweaked, that could be, a typo could be fixed, but nobody has said that they hate the mission and they want to play the ITS mission instead. Nobody has mentioned that. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. Somebody asked whether G-servants can be used to complete the medical and engineering missions in the field testing mission. I'm going to say no on that. I just haven't got around to adding that little line of text, so we will add that in. G-servants can't be used to do that, only the doctor or the engineer. So we've got recovery in there, finish line, played that a lot, and of course the final round, Tempo War. Do have a reread of this because it's a bit of a different mission than it used to be, but fundamentally a lot of it's very similar. From page 13 onwards, I've written this massive novel here. You don't have to read this, but if you're struggling with understanding the missions, all of this here is just commentary and examples of how the scoring works. So if you're feeling a little bit daunted or overwhelmed by how different some of the missions are from ITS, we'll have a read of this, and this should hopefully put some perspective there and clarify that. Cool, so really looking forward to seeing how people go with the custom missions. Now, Army List, this is probably the one thing that's going to be the most controversial, if anything, about Season 2 of this league. Last season, everybody had to email me with 2 Army List codes before the season started, and you had to stick with those 2 lists for 5 whole weeks. People didn't really like that because you get list fatigue, and you just get sick of playing the same list, and you're sort of thinking about the game so much over those weeks, and it's not like a weekend tournament where you play 5 games in two days, and yeah, you're sick of the lists, but you only had to deal with them for like 48 hours. With this, it's 5 weeks, so We are changing that. You are allowed to make a new army list before every round. And you can even make the army list before you show up for the game. So you can see the table, you know your opponent's Discord name, you know their faction, you know their record, you know the mission, and you're making the army list at the last minute. Now, I know there's problems with that, but the advantage of doing that is that we get around this whole list fatigue issue. Everybody can make a new list at any time, so this is a good thing. Overall, I think it will work. Before I talk about the pros and cons here, I do want to point out that like 60 people sent me 2 lists each. That's 60 emails. And I barely even looked at any of them. And not a single person got in touch with me to ask me to verify their opponent's list. Think about that for a sec. Nobody bothered. And that's because generally people are fairly trusting and have a casual approach to these competitions. Fair enough, right? That doesn't mean we shouldn't police things and hold people accountable if we need to. But I just want to remind people that the whole checking up on this kind of thing isn't as crucial for people as you might think, right? So here's how we're going to do it. You'll write your army list before the game, and you'll have a conversation with your opponent before the game starts about whether the two of you need the lists to be verified later. If both of you are feeling kind of casual about it and you're willing to trust your opponent, you're willing to say to your opponent, look, I'll take your word for it, just play your list, and if there are any problems, we can tell your VaulSC about that after the game, but I'm not going to ask you to prove that you had X, Y, Z in your list before we play. If the two of you want to do that, fine, that's cool. I note that outside of this competition, you guys are playing games of TTS all day, every day, and I don't think people are asking their opponents to have lists tucked away to prove anything, because casual games, it doesn't really matter. In a competition, it could be a bit different, so what you are welcome to do is say to your opponent, actually, I would like you to have your list written down somewhere before we start in a way that I can verify it later. You can ask your opponent to send you an email with a password protection on it so that they tell you the password after the game finishes. You look up that email and you see their army code and you can verify that the list they played is the one they sent you to begin with. Or it could be a zip file with a password on it. It could be a note card in TTS with the army code written down on it, although that has a couple of issues. Or if you can't be bothered with any of that stuff, you are welcome to send a direct message to me on Discord. Even if that means that I get dozens and dozens and dozens of DMs with army codes in them, I don't care. 30 or 40 DMs may sound like a large number to you, but if it's me just, eyeballing the fact that I've got it, I don't actually have to do anything unless the opponent comes to me later and says, hey, I played Bobby the other night, and yeah, it seemed really weird that he suddenly had that hidden deployment model there, and can I just have a look at his list to prove that he had that real list? Well, in that case, I then go back to that person's list they DM'd me, and I forward it to the person who asked for it. And because so few people are likely to actually bother to ask for that, I won't really have a lot of work to do. So for those reasons, you're welcome to DM me your list before the game and demand that your opponent does the same if you want to. Got it? So that's cool. I don't mind doing the work. If you want the lists to be policed, that's fine. And if you don't feel bad about it either. Don't feel any peer pressure or don't feel like you're being bullied. If you're the kind of person that would like to have that checked up on just in case, there's no harm in saying to your opponent at the beginning of every game, look, can you DM Vol your list? It's fine. Even if your opponent says, oh man, we don't need to do that, it's cool, it's casual, come on, we don't need to do that. If somebody's giving you any pressure to not have the lists verified, tell me, and we can deal with that. But I'm not going to really expect much of that behavior going on. This is an easy thing to get done and dusted, and what I predict will happen is that we'll have very few issues at all, if any, right? But you're allowed to make a new list right before the game starts for every round. I will ask politely that people actually have it ready to go before they're scheduled to appear. One thing I really don't want, and I'll be kind of upset if you guys do this, I don't want you to be writing your lists as your opponent shows up and making them wait. If that kind of thing happens, I'll be most upset. So please don't do that. Have your list ready to go. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. We'll be doing the maps just as usual. You know, one or two people have said that my maps are a bit too open and the sight lanes are too long. But look, out of 60 people, if only one or two people sort of say something about your maps, I'm pretty sure we've done a pretty good job with the maps. Most people said they were fine. Some people said that they were very good. So I've taken that on board, and the kinds of maps I'll be making will be similar to the ones from the previous season. Alright, so they'll all be individual, they'll all have something interesting going on in them, and some of them will be more open or closed than others, but generally I'll be sticking with the same design philosophy that I did before. Right, so spectating games is the same, although spectating the games will be easier now that you know, players have their list ready to go for just that game. So if it's streamed or put on YouTube and everybody finds out what they were playing, well, you can just change it next week because you're allowed to write a new list. There is no game result form yet, as I mentioned. That's going to be there on the 22nd, so look forward to that. So results, things that you're going to be aiming for. First place in the tournament becomes the infiNity TTS League champion. So hopefully we can have a great champion. Will it be Killer Whales again? We don't know. We had an amazing time streaming the finals last time around. Let's do that again. There will of course be a favorite opponent. We had Azuzet, who received 4 votes from 4 people to win that one. Hopefully we'll have a prize next time around. Azuzet got the limited edition Vaul, the VVT HVT model. Now that we're thinking about doing some 3D miniatures, there might be a 3D prize. That'll be fun. Last place was Fukushima last time around. I'm undecided about whether there'll be a coaching session prize next time around, because I don't want people to sort of deliberately trying to throw games if they happen to want that prize. So we'll see. I'll obviously talk about who wins the casual league, but the winner won't really matter that much, but we'll still keep track of the score. With Code 1, I don't really want to incentivize somebody to beat up everybody else. What I'll be looking for when I get to know the Code 1 players is who participates the most, has the best time, and improves the most, right? So who starts out with Code 1 with the best attitude and readies themselves for, you know, tournament play at the end of that? Who picks it up the quickest and comes into it with the best attitude and mindset? We'll try and reward you in some way. Great. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. The sign-up form is right here. We need to know your Discord name. Don't change that, otherwise it's harder for people to find you. Tell us what town or city or country you're in, because that way it's kind of useful, especially round 1 with pairings, just to make sure that somebody can look you up and get a good idea for when they can contact you. You can only choose one faction here. It can be like a vanilla faction or a sectorial faction, but regardless of whether you choose Aleph or whether you choose Onyx, you have to stick with that specific faction for the entire time. One of 3 choices for the league division. Please make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into before you click that button. And then lastly, this optional question here: if you are not playing in Code 1, you can put a yes or no here as to whether you want to be on a list of availability for Code 1 players to approach you and ask you nicely for your assistance in their games. Cool. Alright, hope you guys are excited as me. League Season 2, it's going to be underway in just over a week, so start signing up, guys. Can't wait to see who's in on this thing.